Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to embed your YCAST web player into your website. So in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to embed the web player into Wix, one of the most popular build-it-yourself website builders, etc. But the process is actually really similar if you've got a WordPress site or if you've got your own HTML site or a Magneto site, any of the sites basically. The process is very, very similar. So what you're going to do is you're going to log into YCAST. You can see I've already logged into my YCAST account and I've come down and clicked the Web Players tab on the left hand side here. So what I'm going to do before I do anything is I'm going to look at whether I want to customize my player, one of the great features of YCAST.io. So to do that I can click Customize Player and then I've got some options that I can do around the specific player itself. So I could change the title to My Health Podcast, for example, if it's a podcast about health, and override the title of the podcast that shows on podcast apps. I can change the color of the text, the background color. I can choose the link that I want the logo to link to, and I can choose whether to hide the logo image or hide the background image, etc. So I can also upload my own custom background image and my own logo to replace the YCAST logo that's present on the player if you do not change it from that perspective. So for this purpose of this video, I'm just going to click, let's hide that one. Let's also hide the background image. Obviously, I want the link to be my Wix website, wix.com/test. That's not the real one, just putting in there as an example. I'm also going to make this dark. I'm going to make the text color black. And I actually want the player to be like a light gray for this specific one. So if I click update, you'll notice that now I have the update to my player. As I've said, so it looks a bit bland without the logo in, so I'm going to put the logo back. But like I said, you can actually update your own logo if you want to from that perspective. So that's it. So once you're done, you've customized your player, you've played around with the different options, you've tried some really good backgrounds, etc. You just go back to web players, and then in here you're able to copy the code for that specific web player and then paste it into your website. So let me show you how this works. So if I click copy code here, I can go over to my Wix editor. You can see I've got a health website, one of Wix's templates here, and I can put it anywhere on this page that I'd like to. So for me, for example, I might actually change this section and remove this. So I should just be able to get rid of that. And then I'll also just change this to something like podcast. And then I'll also say, listen to our podcast. Like so. And then once I've done that, you can see I've got this little icon button here. I'm going to remove that. You can play around with the design. Obviously, it's your own site, etc. To add in the YCAST player, you just click the add. And then you go down to, I've forgotten where it is now. It's iframe somewhere. Embed, here you go. So you embed a widget, right? Or embed a website. We're going to embed a widget, so we're going to click that. And we get our widget here. Now, before we do anything, if you're using a WordPress site or you're using a sort of other site that doesn't require this step, the size will fit, right? It's just for Wix, because it's drag and drop editor, you have to make sure that the size is perfect. So over here you'll see you've got the different things. So you want to change the height to 150 in here, like so. And then the width, you can actually make it as wide as you would like. So I'm actually I think it would look good a little bit wider than that, like that. I'll align it to the middle, like so, etc. And there we go. And then it's going to ask you for the actual code. So here we go back to YCAST, we click copy code, we go back to here, we click enter code, and we actually paste the code in here, if that makes sense, and we click update. And you'll notice the player then appears in here, if that makes sense from that perspective. So you'll notice that it's in there like so. Now, one of the things you will see is that because of Wix and the way Wix works, the player is actually going to kind of have a little bit of a border around it. It is actually 150 pixels in height. So I would just expand that a little bit so that you've got that like so, if that makes sense. So now you can see the player is now perfectly embedded on the site. So if I click preview, ta-da! You've now embedded your podcast player directly onto your website. Now, obviously, it doesn't look great, but with the customization elements, you can customize the image here, the logo, etc., to really make it fit in to this one here. So there's two different ways you can do this. So that's the first way, which has the podcast player on its own. We usually recommend that you have one on your home page like this, for example, and then you create a page somewhere where you can have the full list of all of them, which you can then market every single week. So if I want to go to the About page, I think I click About here, And then I'm actually just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to remove Maria's stuff. Hopefully she doesn't mind. And I'm going to change this to our podcast episodes. Right, and I'm going to remove this. And unfortunately, Maria, you're going to have to go as well. And I'm going to get the code again. So same again, add here and then embed for Wix. But for anything else, it would be iframe or HTML code itself from that perspective. Here we go. And then for this one, it's slightly different. For the all web episodes player, you want this to be 800. Like so. You want it to come out so that it kind of fits the page like we did with the last one. And then yet again, we're going to have the code from YCAST. So if you scroll down a little bit, you've got the all episodes player. Still has the same style as this one, but it has all the episodes like you can see in this image. And you can choose whether you want white text, so for dark backgrounds, or if you want black text for light backgrounds. So let's have a look. It's a light background, so we're going to click the code for the light background one there. So I'm going to click enter code again like we did before, but this time for all of the shows. I'm going to click update, and you'll notice all of the shows then appear within this window, if that makes sense. And I'm going to click preview, because that's it, it's done. All the episodes are embedded. Now the only difference is that this is actually a scroll, if that makes sense. So what you can do is basically, it allows you to scroll down for the whole windows. In fact, it doesn't seem to be doing it on this specific Wix site. So there might be something we have to do to enable that. Let's have a look. Maybe not. Scrolling equals yes. Let's see if that fixes the problem. There we go. So now you can see you can actually scroll through all of the different elements in here, if that makes sense, so that you can actually go through and actually look at the different kind of things within your podcasts. So that's how you upload all of the episodes into your player, etc., etc. Does work perfectly. Sometimes with Wix you need a little bit of extra sort of stuff, so maybe it could be that little edit that I made where you turn it from no to yes. But for every other web host, like WordPress or something else, it works wonders basically. So it is fantastic for everybody. Thanks very much for checking out this tutorial. Hopefully you'll now see that, look, you can embed your podcast directly into the homepage of your player, and then you can also have it on a dedicated page with all the episodes that you've ever released, so that you can scroll through them and all that kind of stuff in there as well. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video tutorial about YCAST.